the people that aren't spending time in wildlife and nature and interacting with animals and experiencing that environment and fish, animals, etc. Like, why in the world are they allowed to say anything when they don't actually know the environment?
This dude knew that he was
Career
going to be a
politician.
politician from the day he started college.
Yes.
Which that's such a weird mentality to have. You think about an 18-year-old kid who's like, I'm going to be the president one day. That kid's an asshole. Let's wrap up the public lands conversation. So we have now pledged 10 grand between the two of us to primary Mike Lee if he decides that he's going to do this again.
Lots of speculation, 100% speculation. Don't sue me. If I said something wrong, Levi, I'm sorry. And Mike Lee can eat a dick.
That's the intro of the video right there. It's visually not as
Sorry,
appealing.
princess. It would be more appealing if we get a sponsorship for that. It's like, hey, sign me up.
Absolutely.
Sign me up for the Soccer Mom Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to sponsor our podcast, by the way, we will place your product right here. I like the idea of sex toy collection right there.
I'm sure there's a store or two down here that can help out with that.
For sure there are.
Oh, man.
Hey, welcome to the podcast, the Podium Archer podcast, hosted at Nashville North Archery.
Yes, sir.
Discount code BMAC for 10% off all your purchases at podiumarcher.com. Not all, right? Just
Almost
most?
all. Just most. I think the best way to put it is most. I'd stop getting emails. Hey, this doesn't work with Brandon's coupon.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Most is probably the most appropriate thing that we should say.
For clarification, so people understand what that is, there are brands that you're not allowed to discount no matter what. Like it's in your contract. It says you cannot do that, and because of that, we cannot offer a discount code for them.
So, do you have like a list of those offhand? Do you have like a little thing that?
I just know.
Yeah.
I just know which ones we're not allowed to mess
you can't.
with.
Obviously, you can't ship the bows, like except the Matthews. You can
Well,
ship the titles. You can ship the Dartons.
You can ship titles. You can ship all the Dartons. You can ship anybody's target bow. I think. Pretty sure we have contractual agreement to ship.
Oh, really? You could ship the Hoyt.
I can ship a Hoyt target bow. I can
Okay.
ship. I can ship an elite target bow. I can ship a Bowtech target bow.
But I'm assuming
There
the
are no
discount
restrictions.
codes don't work on
Correct.
the bows.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So certain brands just do not allow it, and they're very strict about it. So
Yeah.
we in person they can't really do anything technically, and legally in your cart they're not supposed to be, which is where the coupon code is applied. But they've got verbiage in there that says you cannot.
I mean,
Even ones that I had a very interesting. I'm not going to name this one, but I had a very interesting almost lost my account thing because it was not in their dealer agreement at all that you can't use a coupon code, period. And I was like, hey, it doesn't say that in
Right.
there. It's like, we don't care.
Yeah. Ooh.
Which the funny part about that is I could totally sue the shit out of that company because what they just did there is antitrust. Oh, 100%.
Is it actually antitrust, or are they just enforcing MAP
not,
and all that kind of stuff?
Well, you technically can't enforce MAP in a cart or in person
Really?
by law.
So
Once it hits the cart, that is an individual. So MAP is advertising.
right.
So and you cannot advertise a price below a certain amount. What happens to that after the initial advertisement, i.e. an individual's private transaction, they cannot do anything about. They can, however, choose to not renew your contract for any reason at any time.
There you go. Yeah. So all that to say, discount code BMAC at podiumarcher.com, 10% off everything. And then you're just going to see manufacturers just dropping Josh over time. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously on assorted things. Most things on the website.
It's been an interesting experience. We get these after a while, like, what did I do now?
Well, that's
like,
the other problem.
Tell me what we're changing the rules on today, please.
Like, there's two types of people.
Yeah.
There are visionaries and there are integrators in the business world. So
Sure.
an integrator is like an engineer, a person that's very detail oriented.
Sure.
And then the visionary. And the visionaries are usually shit at dealing with details, and you are a visionary.
So that's Brandon's nice way of saying I'm shit at dealing with details, which he is not wrong. He is not wrong. There are certain things I'm very detail oriented on.
Yeah.
Not most.
Well, but it's most
I have
of
a
the
very
time,
big vision and
Yeah.
just go and they're like, hey, here, come here, figure this out.
But what's interesting is like when you look at the intricacies of like product creation and tolerances and all those types of things, visionaries are often still really good in those areas. but they're like when it comes to bookkeeping or having 10,000 SKUs that you're keeping up with, that's where they literally just like will fall asleep in business meetings.
Well, keeping up with the SKUs has been a really easy thing for me, but bookkeeping, I have bookkeepers.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
I
the
do
point
not.
is if you delegate. So if you're a visionary, you have to delegate to an integrator.
Yeah.
And if you're an integrator, it's likely that you should either involve or partner with a visionary so that they can kind of push you forward.
Yeah.
And so you can do more business.
This is very much the
This is
content that
this
people
is the
came here
content
for.
that the hey, listen, I listened to you and Tim talk about the WNBA for
Right.
15 minutes.
Well, that's relevant.
I did Google the one girl.
It's very
that
relevant
had,
right now.
I Googled the girl that
Yeah.
had defended Caitlyn. What's her name?
Sophie Cunningham.
She's hi there.
Yeah, she's right up your alley. Yeah, I should actually say that. Oh, that looks like a very A+ Brandon decision.
If
right
she
there.
had more tattoos,
yeah,
yeah,
she's
yeah.
like a either karate or jujitsu black belt.
She's a jujitsu girl.
Yeah, jujitsu girl. Yeah.
yeah.
If she had more tattoos?
Yeah. If she had a sleeve,
yeah.
Don't tell my wife. Don't tell my wife. If my wife got a sleeve, ooh,
Yeah.
I may actually just start
There you
doing a
go.
sleeve while she's sleeping.
There you
Like
go.
she's just asleep, and I'll just go brrrp and just start hitting her. Just
Well, could
progressively.
you like what's the word? I'm not subconsciously, but could you like just be dropping little hints? There's a phrase for that where you basically kind of brainwash
I would
somebody into doing what
inception
you want.
her basically over
a
time.
little bit, yeah, yeah. Where you
think I
just gonna
could.
go, man, look at how good that sleeve looks.
Oh my
like
gosh, look
over
at
and
that.
over and over and over and over.
See, but it would be for her. It would be a sleeve of horses. It
Sure.
would just be horses over and over and over again, which I feel
what's
like
wrong
would
with
be,
that? What do you want? What do you want this? Okay, hold on. So now that we've established that the sleeve is the thing, what's good and bad in the sleeve for Brandon
We're not
McDonald?
going into this. This is stupid. I have
This
other
is for the
archery-related
This is for the
things I wanna
stalker
talk-
girls in the background that are really into you. Show up with a sleeve and something that's just everything that Brandon said.
Absolutely.
That would be hilarious.
That would be amazing. I'll just start
Until
naming a bunch
you
of
start
random,
thinking about the reality of, oh, this bitch is crazy.
I'll start naming random things that I just want people to get tattooed on themselves. Dude, I watched. Okay, no, we can't do this. We can't do this. We can do this at lunch.
We can have this conversation
Exactly.
later. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Here's how I want to start.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start with the public land stuff,
Okay.
and then I want to move over into Levi Morgan leaving First Lite.
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit about the intricacies of that kind of stuff within the industry.
Okay.
Because I have questions. I don't know. Like, I'd be curious to know how it works behind the scenes, and then just some of the things he said. And he just posted a video this morning that he basically pulled the audio from Greg's video where he was essentially letting everybody know that he had left First Lite, and the phrase like "I can't answer that" because there's a non-disclosure that was thrown out a lot. And he has a 4-minute video where he's basically apologizing to people for being involved in certain companies. Now, he doesn't name the companies. He just...
Now, that would have been something you could have sent me an hour ago while you were sitting here on your business call saying, hey, you might want to watch this.
It's all the audio from Greg's podcast, though. So
Sure.
it's just pulled from that. But it essentially what he's talking about, listen, stick around, like and subscribe.
This is very much
we're going to get into
stay
that.
around to the end because I think
That's
we're probably talking about that at the
That's
end.
exactly right. But to start, I do want to go back to the Mike Lee and the public lands,
Yeah.
the public lands debate, because there was a couple of things that I think happened about that. I'll
I
summarize.
thought your take was exact, personally.
Yeah. It makes
I don't think we talked about it, but
yeah. No, we didn't on the. That's why I wanted to kind of go into it a little more, because we're going to have to do this over and over and over again as a community of people that enjoy the outdoors.
yes.
Let's back up a little bit. If you were setting up a country, like you had a brand new country to set up, would you set it up with public lands that were owned by the government? Well, okay, that were
Owned by the
held in
public,
trust by the
held in
public,
trust, yeah.
held in trust by the public, managed by the government. If you had whatever, we found a new country, a new group of land, would you do that?
It depends on what the purpose of the public land is. Is it to maintain and manage the wildlife and the resource? Because if that's the case, I would think you would probably want to put in like an elected office option that is specifically certain prerequisites and requirements before you can even apply. Like, I'm a big advocate for putting actual fish and game people in charge of fish and game. Crazy notion, right?
Whoa.
Crazy notion. Not a politician, but someone who's actually got education, knowledge, experience, background in this, as opposed to let's let the elected officials decide what we do with this or dictate somewhat what we do with those resources. I want to say if it's Idaho or Montana, their Fish and Game makes the laws for their wildlife.
Okay. Which kind of makes no. Will they hold public votes on whatever?
I don't think they do.
We don't want to hunt mountain lion.
If I remember right, I don't think they do. I think it's up to the experts of the animals and the environment to decide what happens. And I am 100% for that, because maybe you give me that choice versus a politician or the public picking. Because I mean, in almost every state, there's a densely populated area that has a pretty big say.
Like maybe the bigger say than the rural
depending
area.
on where, but yes, in general, they usually have the bigger say. The people that aren't spending time in wildlife and nature and interacting with animals and experiencing that environment and fish, animals, etc. Like, why in the world are they allowed to say anything when they don't actually know the environment? It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't seem logical. And I'm all for the public's vote in certain things. But when it comes to managing a resource, that's like saying, let's take all the oil lands and make them public and then let some dipshit in the middle of Seattle decide what we do with oil. Like, that is stupid. It's completely ignorant. Was like no different than I shouldn't have a say in what we do with oil because I don't know anything about it. I have no experience in that. So I shouldn't be dictating what happens.
This is the tough part about having a voting public.
Yes.
And then the tough part, because that could also go really badly, because there could be a bunch of people that were activists that were also biologists that infiltrated.
Hey, Washington Fish and Game.
Right.
100%.
Right. But the point of that is there's danger in any scenario that you set up.
I agree, but in this example that I'm referring to, those are not elected officials. Those are appointed by the governor, which is what's so wrong with Washington's Fish and Game. The Game Commission in Washington's Fish and Game is dictated by whoever the governor decides those 6 people are.
Okay. So what in your scenario, though, how would those people come into power?
Well, my belief or theory of it, which, mind you hadn't mentioned this until now, so I haven't really been able to think about it. Because in a hypothetical, fantastical land, how do you dictate the right person?
We hunt unicorns in this land, by the way.
I would think that would be cool. Yeah. How do I get a tag?
Yeah.
I would think you've got to be logical about, okay, what kind of experience does this person need to be able to make reasonable decisions? What kind of education do they need? And have like 4 or 5 prerequisites that you must have before you can apply to be selected. But I still think at the end of the day, the only right solution there is to probably have, well, if we're looking at it from a resource standpoint, right? If that's really where we're supposed to be looking at it, people who buy a hunting or fishing license are the only people who get a vote.
Oh, okay.
Because
I haven't thought about that one. That's a really interesting way to do it.
I also have a different feeling about who should be able to vote in America. If you pay taxes, you should be able to vote. If you don't, you shouldn't. Because you're making direct decisions based off of what happens with the tax revenue. So those that partake should have a say. Those that do not partake should not.
Interesting.
Well, if you think about it logically, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're using the system and not working, you're going to vote for using the system because you need it to survive, right?
Yep, potentially.
Potentially, come on. Just being realistic, okay?
Yeah.
If I'm looking out from my own standpoint, let's say I was living off the system, period, and wasn't working, wasn't creating revenue, wasn't paying into the taxation of the system. I don't think I should have a say because I am not providing what we're using it for. That's just my thought.
Yeah,
and I feel the same way about hunting and fishing, etc. If those resources are like, so a lot of places for hiking and things like that, they pay for an access permit. If you bought an access permit that year, you should have a vote.
Okay.
So if you use the resource, if you go out there and participate in the resource, you should have a say. If you've never set foot out there, shut the f up. You don't even know what it is. Seriously.
I mean, I get it.
And and if you want to like initiate some crazy thing or whatnot where you're going to dictate it and poorly, at least go out there and pay for the resource. Once again, if you paid into the system and you're using the system, you should have a say. If you're not, you shouldn't.
Yeah, I've heard some really interesting arguments from people on just voting in general. If you're a landowner versus a renter, I've even heard arguments about women not voting. And now we're not going to have that conversation here, but it was.
I'll have that conversation.
But it was really fascinating. And if you look back at the voting history,
yeah,
if it was men only voting, men only.
Go at it.
Go look at the Google.
I have.
Look at the Google.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the difference in the landscape. It's fascinating.
It's wild.
Yeah. So
it's 80-20 or better.
So
one way. You can figure out which way that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or is it higher than that? I think it's higher than that.
It was basically from what I remember, it was there would never have been a Democrat for president ever.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I don't believe a Democrat has ever won the male vote.
Yeah. I'm curious about like Obama.
Obama's close.
We don't have to go. We don't have to go too far. This is the reason that I wanted to ask.
Maybe
this
Bill
hypothetical.
after the BJ. Maybe he won the male vote after.
The reason that I wanted to bring this up is if I were setting up a country, I would never have said I want there to be this public land aspect, because the libertarian in me would have said this should all be privately owned so that people can control it the way they want to control it. And yeah, there are going to be rich people that have 100,000-acre tracts that could then allow people to come in and do what they want to do. But I will make an exception. And I come outside of like this kind of principled version of myself to say how unbelievably cool it is that public lands exist in America. And that everybody gets access to go use it for whatever they kind of want to do. Like, it doesn't have to just be people that hunt. If you want to go take your kid for a picnic, you can just go head over to the land and go hang out for a picnic. Yeah. Go take photos of birds and, like all the hippie stuff that like united hunters and hairy armpit girls over the last, like 3 weeks. If you have hairy armpits, comment below.
Oh my goodness.
So I think about that. I think about like how exceptional it is and how cool it is that we have the public lands, and then how interesting it is that a senator like Mike Lee from Utah, who knows, he knew the shitstorm that was going to come from this. Mm-hmm. Did he really not think that this was going to just like explode? He came forward and he wanted to sell off. He wanted to force the sale of literally millions of acres of public land across, I think it was 11 states, 10 or 11 states out of the West.
Yeah, and let's clarify something. Not sell it, auction it. Auction it.
Okay.
So when you look at the price of those things, right, the value of how expensive it is, how many people can even bid? Really?
Well, it depends on where it is.
And the size of the lots, right?
Yeah,
the size of the parcels.
The size of the parcels.
Which they're giant parcels.
Well, I'm also curious about that, because could they, before they actually put it up for auction, if I own 2 large parcels, all I have to do by deed, I can just go to the registrar's office and file to basically combine those parcels into one. So I could just... That's what I'm so curious about. And this is where I think Mike Lee, the nefarious nature of what's going on with Mike is... I think that what's happened is there are people who elected him and keep him in power and donate a lot to his campaign.
What state are they in again?
He's in Utah.
Oh, he's in Utah. Okay.
No, I don't. Do you think that it's that? Okay.
Who's the largest landowner in the United States?
Bill Gates. The Chinese.
As a group.
The Chinese.
As a group.
Is it the Mormons?
That's what I was told.
Okay.
I'd have to Google that. I didn't Google it, so fake news right here. Right, but I was told that the LDS Church is the largest landowner in the United States.
So Mike is he's a Mormon. He went to BYU.
Yep.
He was a poli-sci major at BYU, and then when he got out, he became an attorney, and then he went and clerked for some of the Supreme Court justices. I think he went for Alito. Like, this dude knew that he was going to be a politician from the day he started college.
Yes.
Which, that's such a weird mentality to have. You think about an 18-year-old kid who's like, I'm going to be the president one day. That kid's an asshole.
Probably.
Like, that guy's an asshole.
He's probably. You never know. He could have a good reason, like a good ethical reason, right?
An 18-year-old kid? That's like a 13-year-old kid being like, I'm going to be a life coach.
Well, have you met Riley? Well, here's a good example. My oldest daughter was going to be a counselor for like bad people from 12. She's a counselor for bad people. She's 25.
That's a totally different thing, because one thing is I am going to be a leader of people.
Well,
I am going to be a leader of men, and you saying that as an 18-year-old.
As opposed to I'm going to manipulate minds.
I don't. But what did she want to do though? She wanted to help.
She
people
wanted to know
do
how
that.
what made him tick and try to figure it out. Oh yeah.
Ooh, okay, so
Yeah.
there's
Yeah. Yeah.
She's your daughter. That doesn't surprise me, I guess. That's interesting. Well, okay. Comment below if you think that. Comment below if you met a kid that was 18 years old and he was like, "I'm going to be in Congress." What would that make you feel like? Because I know what it would make me feel
believe.
like.
I've met two of them, by
the way.
because of our age and our experience, it's very easy to go, oh man, that's nefarious, right? But you might still be naive enough at 18 to believe you're going to be the one person that made a difference that isn't manipulatable.
Okay,
It is possible.
That's valid.
Because at 18 you're still pretty naive
yeah.
to what your options, opportunities, and reality of life is.
But you may be right that may be valid, that they're thinking, I want to do this, and I see this as the path of least resistance where I can have the most impact.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's give that to them. All right. So you think though that there's the chance. What I was thinking was it was probably a resource play that's coming from somebody like BlackRock. Which, by the way, when we talk about like corporations, the evil corporations, it's just a group of people that got together and do business.
They're trying to have a bigger quarter than last quarter.
Or
Make
they're
more
just
money.
trying
Or
to invest in things that they go,
yeah.
I want this thing to be the best investment that we can find. And so what's the next best investment? And what has happened over time is you have 4 major institutions that have accumulated so much money because they did such a good job making money for so long, and the way the tax structure is and all that stuff, that they basically go, oh my gosh, we have so much money that we have to figure out where to put this stuff. And they'll accept a lower and lower return because they have so much abundance of money. So that's why when people look at it and they're like, they own everything. They own everything because they're willing to take a lower return because they have so much money. So this is where the public lands things really comes into play.
Okay.
Because if they said, we've done geo research and we know that there's whatever, minerals, oil. I'm also curious about the ski resorts. Like, because apparently there's still multiple areas that are in Park City that are kind of around those areas. Like, is it like some Yellowstone stuff where they're like, we're gonna open up? I don't know.
It could be. I mean, I could totally see it being, what is it? BlackRock. What's the other one?
State Street Vanguard.
State Street Vanguard. Thank you. Yeah, I could totally see that. I could also see that, like let's say, and I'm not trying to single out Mormons, so please do not say that. Let's just say it's a church instead of calling it Mormon.
If you're anti one religion, it's not racism, it's not sexism. What is it? Religiosism?
No, it's
is
not
that
called
what you're
that.
about to do?
No, but I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to remember what it is. No, I just in Utah, that's where the Mormons originally settled, and they own an immense amount of land. They have their own banking system, the whole bit, right? So there's a corporation of business occurring as a religion, which is a creative way to do it because then you don't pay taxes because you're a religion, right? No different than that's why Scientology eventually got to that point, is because they wanted the tax breaks as they're going around and buying and building churches and stuff, right?
Almost every religion has some version of this. Like when they reach a certain capacity, then they,
So I look at it from the standpoint of how many different groups could functionally buy the land. Well, a large national church that has an insane amount of members that are tithing, right?
Yep.
Might be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And if the guy who's really pushing for it happens to be a member of the church, you're going to naturally think that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Regardless of which church it is, mind you, this is not directed at that church specifically.
Sure, he just happens to be a member.
He just happens to be a member of that and was pushing really hard for it. And there was a decent amount, if I remember right, of Utah land in there. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
So that was my conclusion with zero expert knowledge.
Well, that was your speculation.
That's thank you.
Yeah,
that's
but
speculation.
That's fine because we're all just speculating on why he was doing this anyway. But it was very obvious that he had great motivation to try to do this.
Yeah, willing to take a lot of heat. Possibly lose his seat as a senator is possible.
Okay.
Right? Because what if the bulk of his constituents, people, did not want him to do that? But in the state of Utah, how many of them are Mormon?
It's interesting, but I feel like he would have
like
to come
voting
out.
populace, it would probably be a lot.
But I think he
more
would
than
have
half.
to come out and he would have to say, "I was trying to do this for the Mormon Church."
It wouldn't matter if they had bought it, and then you'd know, and he wouldn't have to say anything. Like
Yes.
if they put this land up for sale,
yeah.
the Mormon Church buys it.
Yep.
He's probably a hero to more than half of the state.
Yeah.
I would assume, because I'm assuming more than half of the state is probably LDS, but no different than like any other religion in any other area where they're densely populated,
Yeah,
because
of
that's like
course.
where they settled.
Yeah.
So I would assume.
Yeah.
We probably should have Googled this information before I actually started saying
No,
this.
because we've already said we're just
I know,
speculating.
we're speculating, but that's my
so
assumption.
my
That is 100%
speculation-
my assumption.
Yeah, my speculation was not that they wanted millions of acres of land, but that there was some targeted smaller parcels.
Yes.
That they wanted specifically, and they were disguising it within this very broad package.
Yes.
Like, here's a big shit sandwich, but we only actually want this
We
little
just want the
bitty part of
pickles
it
over here.
Exactly.
That's all we're looking for, which
Yeah.
makes total sense. And you had a great little reel or whatnot that you put out that I was like 100% spot on. Now, what you didn't do is indicate who you thought was trying to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's who I thought was trying to do that.
Okay, that
and
makes
100% hiding it underneath the guise of that.
Yeah.
Because like, all right, well, we'll get rid of this, but maybe we're still keeping in the things we really want in there, and hoping no one realizes that that's really all we were trying to do.
It
Was get
would've-
this, and this.
It would have revealed itself if it would have gone through. We would have seen it, because within the next 5 years, you would have been like, oh, that's what it was.
Sneaky little fucker.
BlackRock bought this land here, and now they're going to start doing XYZ to it. Or the Mormon Church bought whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we would have seen it. But the point of all this is there's a man who's still a senator who has deep motivation to make this happen.
Yes.
And he tried to sneak it in. He's also very talented, and he's a lawyer. He knows a lot about the way the system works. He tried to sneak it into something that it should not have been in. It was in a budget bill.
Yeah.
And he tried to sneak it in last minute. We're talking so last minute. And then the eruption happened so quickly. He modified it twice, said he was listening, and then was basically like getting heat from, apparently there was Congress people and other senators from other states that were calling him that were like, Mike, we love you, man. This is like our freaking phones are ringing off the hook right now.
That was the
and we would
idea.
like you to stop this.
That was the idea. And
Yeah.
I have to give credit to Jeff, my creative cameraman. He's the first one who said, you need to say something.
Okay.
Like, and I had just heard about it that morning. I was like, what? He's like, you need to say something. I'm like, okay. And then Tim called me and was like, hey, you heard about this? It's like, I think we need to do an emergency
Yeah, I
little
saw the
10-minute
little
pod
emergency
or whatnot.
pod. Yep.
Yeah, just like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sure. Come on over. Stopped. We had Jeff and I had stuff scheduled all day to film. Like, all right, we're stopping this right now. Get over here if you can. Let's sit down, do this. And then as soon as you leave, I'll make a video and put it on my channel and tell people, how do you do this? All you got to do is call this number, ask for your senator, and complain.
Yep.
All you got to do, and if we all do it, this will stop immediately. And I don't think I was the first person to do that by any means. I'm not stating that. It's just once I heard about it, I immediately like, stop what you're doing. We need to do this now.
It was a
And
pile
then asked anybody who actually watches my channel, if you have a channel, anything, do the same thing, please.
And dude, social media on the Hunt side was just loaded with every big name in our industry saying like, hey, this is the thing we want.
Yeah.
Cam Haynes, Randy Newberg, like
So Newberg and
Meat Eater guys.
Meat Eater were the one, like I saw those two that morning. I was like, okay, do the same.
Yeah.
But
So-
I wasn't sure if they actually put out numbers or anything like that. I was like, here, what's the phone number? What do you have to do? So I was like, just turn the camera on. I was like, and I asked Jeff, what do you want me to do? Like, what do you think is best? And he's like, just call him and do it.
Great.
And just record it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's literally all the time it takes, guys.
Yep.
That's all you got to do.
No, it was super. That was a good one because it did show people it's not an intimidating process. And
No,
thinking about
it's simple.
and yelling and screaming and swearing at them on the phone if you actually got somebody would not be helpful. You just have to call and say like, and I've heard this. So dealing on the real estate side, we have people that go to Washington and try to get things done. You know, whatever, anti-affordable housing legislation and all this other crazy stuff that they're like, this is an amazing idea, and you're like, no, you're not thinking about the third and fourth level consequences to these things.
Yeah.
But they said literally the best way to get stuff done is to bother them. Because if you bother them, they go, okay, this is a large group of people that care about this. We also can't use our phones in the office.
Yeah.
because they're just lit up the entire time,
Yeah.
which means we are running
We are
a
screwing
risk.
up here.
We are running a risk of getting primaried or people raising a large amount of money to try to get me out. So this brings me to my next point. If, in my opinion, if Mike brings something like this again, I think there has to be a PAC that gets funded that tries to primary him.
Yes.
And but in order to do that, you would have to find somebody who's probably in the state of Utah. It's probably a Mormon dude, and it's probably a Mormon dude who is prominent and willing to take on a potentially losing battle. But the point would be to send a message to Mike to say, not 1 acre.
I got a solution.
Okay, give it to me.
Well, there's 2 giant hunting companies in Salt Lake City. I'm going there in 2 weeks. Hoyt and Easton are both in Salt Lake City. Easton's the biggest funded thing, period. Like it makes logical sense that this is going to directly affect your ability to sell product. If you're losing hunting ground, there's less people hunting. That's less customers. Period. When the United States is largely a hunting community from the archery side of things. Yes, there's a lot of target archery. Yes, there's a lot of shooting. But if you run the numbers, it's like 90-10.
Yeah, I still feel like the archery industry is small potatoes when it comes to this, though. Like, I think it has to be a different thing.
The amount of money they have
I'm not saying they couldn't do it. I'm
compared
just
to
saying,
an individual.
No.
Right.
The individual would have to be backed by something. But I think that the backing would come from a PAC that was funded by every organization in hunting.
Yeah.
So, like, Easton could do it, but it would be donations put forth into some sort of PAC in order to support a person who was like, okay, I'll throw my hat into the ring. And the goal would be maybe you don't beat Mike Lee, but maybe Mike Lee has to go back to whoever he's trying to do this for and go, guys, I get way too much heat for this.
Well,
like they're trying to primary.
This might already happen realistically.
And I guess that's possible.
Like this might have been a big enough deal that he's like, I can't get away with this.
I saw a lot of people in the comments saying, vote him out. I saw a lot of that, but I didn't hear anybody, like, have you seen any videos or anything from anybody that was a little more prominent saying, if you do this, we will primary you? I didn't.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I saw that.
Okay.
But it'd be interesting going forward to see if he tries to do it again. If he does try to do it again, he needs to be primaried.
So
100%.
I will commit.
Get out.
I'll give $5,000 into this. This is crazy too because I'm in the state of Tennessee. The fact that I can influence a Utah politician is nuts. I'll pledge $5,000 into a PAC account if he comes forward with legislation like this again, in order to primary him, and it will just be. We're sending a message. It'd be fantastic if it was actually going to work, but I think the goal would be we lit your phones up, but now we're going to try to vote your ass out.
Well, I'll do the same. I'd pledge $5,000 for it, no problem. Because I mean, he's trying to make national decisions out of his own state.
You're correct.
Like that's messed up.
It's kind of. I mean, he's a United States senator, so that's the reason he. That's the reason he can do it.
He can make federal voting, right? But I mean, that's.
But it's crazy to me, like. Mandated sale of the land. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to open this up so you guys have the potential to sell this stuff over time. And there's already 2 other mechanisms that they can use to sell public land if they need to. But it was crazy to me that within the next 5 years, that was the thing. Within the next 5 years, you must sell a certain percentage of the land.
That's messed up.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What if the economy shits the bed right now and it's a really bad time to buy something like this?
Exactly.
I think about 200 years from now, like 200 years from now, the value of that land, the number of zeros that will be on the back end of it will be exponential what it is now.
Absolutely.
So no matter what you sell it for right now, it's not worth it 200 years from now.
Correct.
It's not. And it will never get it back.
Land never is worth selling now versus later,
especially when you don't need the money. Like
correct.
What he's talking about, you're gonna pay down the deficit.
How about we just stop spending like a fucking drunken sailor? How about that?
We don't do that, Josh. That's not what we do. That's not what we do.
I was so optimistic with having Elon involved the way he butchered Twitter. I was like, yes, this is going to be
butchered in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Like got rid of all the fat.
Yep.
All the crap you don't need to function.
Yep.
Like. And
yep,
man, we just voted it up $4 trillion, right?
Welcome to $4 trillion.
Now, I'm optimistic still, somewhat, that the purpose of that was, all right, we need to fund the country. Let's get it going. And then as soon as we get that passed, let's start axing stuff. I don't know if that's how it works.
So
or
I think
whatnot.
that
So I don't
they're
know.
also thinking that this is going to basically pour gasoline on the economy overall. So this will actually drive more tax revenue so that it won't actually be 4 trillion. And the CBO never actually gets it right either.
Sure.
So, to be fair, but like if you look at a graph of the debt,
Yeah.
it is terrifying. Like
I
it
know,
literally,
I've seen it a lot.
It
It
literally
freaks
is
me out.
just like you're on the flatlands of Colorado, passing Denver International Airport, and then all of a sudden you just hit the mountains.
Hello, Rockies.
And just off into the
Yeah.
So
It's pretty wild.
All right, let's wrap up the public lands conversation. So we have now pledged 10 grand between the two of us
Yep.
to primary Mike Lee if he decides that he's going to do this again.
Yep.
And
I just need you to tell me where I have to send the money. 'Cause remember, I'm the big scale, right? I don't know where that goes, but I'll do it.
The nice thing
I will
is
write a check.
I'm also a visionary, so that's why we can't actually figure out how to run a lot of the back end stuff.
You're not wrong, dude.
We'll figure that one out though, and it may be a pack that already exists. But the pledge is we will raise money and we will primary your ass and do the best that we can to at least make it very annoying for you to try to campaign again, because this is really important. And again, I never thought that I would be advocating for something. And I guess thinking about it, it is land held in trust for the American people, managed by the government.
Yeah, so we just to clarify, because I had a couple of different people say we don't own that land. Yes, we do. We own that land. It's held in trust by us. They don't own it. They're just supposed to manage it.
Yeah.
So it does kind of blow me away that you don't have to have a vote on the board of trustees, which would be everyone in the United States, when you want to sell something. Because if you were in trust and you had people on trust, they have to like equally agree, right?
It depends. It depends on how it's written.
Why do you got to rain on my parade? That sounded great.
It does sound great. You said lots of great things in this one.
That are probably not accurate.
No. I
got great
think the
ideas.
speculation stuff is really interesting, because I think that one of those is accurate for sure. Like,
sure.
There is a group of people that's influencing him, wanting him to sell it, because he knows that it's going to make a freaking just a dribble drop going to pay off the debt.
I wish we would have had just a little more time to research, because, man, I would have looked up a lot more of this stuff and felt like I was doing it accurately.
Well, we can take a pause.
Let's see. Who donated?
Oh, yeah. If you look
Mike
at who
Lee.
donated, the problem is when you look up who donated to Mike Lee, they donated to everybody. Because, and I will say this, we have donated to like socialist council members in Nashville, Tennessee, because we needed to do real estate deals in the districts that they were involved in. Did we want to give them money? No. But did we want
Top
access
donors.
to them?
Let's just say top donors.
Go for it.
Oh, those are his names. Damn it.
Yeah, but those are individual names.
Microsoft's up there.
Well, so when you look at the thing is, they can only donate directly to Mike a certain amount of money. It's very low. But when you look at the PACs, like when people say Elon donated $200 million or $250 million to try to get Trump elected, you can't give Trump $250 million. You
Gotcha.
give it to a PAC. And this is where the kind of fucked up thing about politics with the Supreme Court passing Citizens United, where basically corporations and big money people could get involved. Like it's just gotten worse over the last 10 years. Like everything's gotten grosser. So my favorite macroeconomic economist, Lynn Alden, says nothing stops this train. And what she's talking about is basically like we are going into debt oblivion. That's where we're going, and nothing stops the train. Like there's too many factors that are already in place that have been built in place for the last 5 decades.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you're a Republican. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat. And we're seeing it now, because right now is the best
they're
chance
all
we
getting
had.
bought. Sure.
Nothing stops this train.
Nothing stops this, which is frightening. Like, what do?
You buy assets.
Yeah, you
And
invest
then
in assets
you
for
just
sure.
hold on. And then you also retain flexibility.
Gotcha.
Get ready to move to El Salvador.
El Salvador.
Did you
Is that
find
the best
anything?
place? No, I can't find Jack.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's one of those like,
You need some time to research.
yeah. And that's the other problem is that there's PACs you can donate to where you're not named. I know. It's nuts.
Yeah. Did you ever see that Act Blue thing for how Kamala got so much money so fast? that they'd like go up to somebody's house that, oh, so I heard you donated to Act Blue. Oh, yeah, I did. Did you donate 276 times? No. It's like, that's how they did it. That's how they funneled all that money in
They
there.
did the same thing. There's the same equivalent on the Republican side
What's
as
it
well.
called?
I can't remember. Act Blue on the Democrat side,
Yeah.
but it's the same stuff where when Bernie Sanders is like, we had 2 million individual donors. You're like, I don't think you did. I think what actually happened was I think you had some big money that went in and basically picked people. Dude, there's documentaries about it. There's videos I've watched about it.
Yeah.
It's fraud. It's
100%.
just fraud.
It's 100% fraud.
And no one in the whatever. We're getting a little far off the public
Sorry,
land
they've
stuff.
all turned this off by now.
They
I'm willing to
haven't.
bet.
We're not talking about the WNBA.
It's 10 minutes.
All right. All right. Let's transition over. So I am curious. You know, like we had a meeting with a company the other day, and it was interesting to hear a little bit of the inside baseball. I'm not going to say who it was or the inside baseball, but like getting behind the curtain in the hunting industry feels a little like it did for me to get behind the curtain in a church. Like when I got behind the curtain, I was kind of like,
Was it dirty and ugly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
like,
it's sad.
wow, there's a lot of ego.
You don't say.
There's a lot of like, well, you did this to me, so I'm going to do this to you. Like it's this weird thing. And then there's also, I don't know. I was just a little, I guess I was always thinking that like hunting people and hunters probably would just be a little bit more chill, but they're not. It's just people being people. And there's a bunch of blue-haired old lady hunters, evidently, that don't like that the organ is too loud.
So this this conversation that you're starting is coming from where in your mind? Like what are you referring to? As an
Levi
example?
Morgan
Okay.
recently announced that he has left First Lite.
Okay. So I'm going to preface by whatever we say here along the way as this is 100% speculation.
We are 100% speculating.
I've learned recently that I need to do a better job of that.
Well, I think that it's an interesting conversation to
giant guess.
speculate on.
And I would also like to start off by saying I've only talked to Levi Morgan once, but he was very nice and he seems like a really good dude.
He does seem like a good dude.
Yeah.
Even just in
I don't know him personally, so I can't really say that
Yeah.
anything beyond that.
Yeah.
Seems like a really good dude.
Okay. So he went on a podcast with Greg Poole, who I still want to talk to, the Bo Junkie guy. Like he's one of those people that I don't know. I think it would just be fun to sit down with him and talk with him.
Yeah.
And he basically said, like, he started talking about his leaving First Lite halfway through the cycle. So that's what I wanted to start with.
Which is very interesting.
What does that mean?
Okay, so people sign contracts, which I don't know this heavily in depth, just being clear. I've got multiple friends that are hired by companies to represent their company. I am not. I've never have been. I've never signed anything. I've never looked at paperwork or anything like that involved in that. I just know a lot of people that have.
Except Matthews. Everybody else, no one else, just Matthews. Go ahead, continue.
So I don't know it heavily. I've been around it enough that I'm aware it exists and kind of how it works. So you normally sign a contract for a given period of time, and that contract expires, and you renegotiate at the end of that contract if you want to continue on or not. It's very rare ever that the sponsored person can cut ties before that ends.
Mid-year.
I don't think I've ever seen that. I've seen the sponsor cut their contract because usually the contracts are written in a way that benefits the sponsor. Like Kyle Douglas and Tim Gillingham getting cut by Bowtech. Like that happened out of order. Their contracts were not over with, which was part of what pissed a lot of people off is because not only did you cut their contracts, you actually picked a horrible time to do it.
Yeah,
So
because
every
everybody
year-
had already allocated money to...
every year there's a
yeah.
budget that they can spend on influential people, whether it's people that shoot good or whether it's people that talk good or whether it's people that are popular, celebrities, musicians, us dumb people, that kind of thing. Every level of what is out there that exists is available at a certain time, and then past a certain time, all the money's gone, and then you got to wait till next year.
Yeah.
Like they'll say, "Oh, we love you. We love you. You're doing great stuff. Blah blah blah." Write me in October, right?
Okay.
Because that's when we're starting to look at contracts
Got it.
and trying to decide how we want to spend our money, right? Which is what the marketing division of every brand is determining those things for the most part. And Kyle and Tim both got cut after all the money was spent,
Yeah.
which is just it's a dick move to cut somebody out of their contract before it expires to begin with. It's another thing to wait till everyone's spent their money and then cut them. Like, geez, I'm pretty sure whoever made those decisions got fired, but I hope. But because there's a level of ethicalness that should exist, period. Like you shouldn't leave somebody in a position where it's going to hurt their livelihood to survive ever. Like you at least got to look at it from, if you have a working relationship with someone, you should give a shit about that person. If you're going to cut somebody a check because you want to work with them, you should care.
Okay, so
period.
This leads us into what is happening inside the industry at a little bit more of a mass level.
Okay.
Is what you have now is people that don't have relationships down the line because you're getting a bunch of private equity that's coming in. And private equity is just still, it's a group of people that have a lot of money to manage, and they're looking for businesses to invest in that they go, I like where this is going, and I think we can make money with this, and I think we can make it better. The problem
at the end of the day, they're just looking at dollars and cents and what's it doing, and we can make 12% over here, we're going to make 8% over here. What do you want to invest in?
Right.
Well, we'll try the 12.
Right.
Logical.
And maybe there's also some personal things where those guys are sitting around a room and they're like, it'd be cool to like get to meet some of the people that are the talent that's down the line, or I really like this product for personal use, like I'm going to go hunt. So I think there could be some of that too. Like if you told me, hey, would you rather own a farm where they pick beans, or would you rather own a dealership where they sell Lamborghinis? I'd be like, ooh, same return, same risk. I'll do the Lamborghini thing.
Yeah, of course you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course you will. So there could be some personal desire of what you're doing to, which if you have an interest in what you're investing in, that's a benefit, right?
Yep.
Because you're going to be a little drawn to it. You're going to pay more attention to it. You might if you have the ability to make decisions, you might make better decisions because you're paying more attention.
Or because you're like actually wearing the gear. And in particular, what we're talking about with Levi is First Lite.
Sure.
So with First Lite,
which ironically we just started carrying in both stores.
Right. Which, you know what though? Every piece of
it's
First
available
Lite
at
gear,
podiumarcher.com for all his archery needs.
10% off discount code BMAC or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Pretty sure not. I got to check. I'm pretty sure it's a no bueno.
Pretty much everything else though, that's okay. No, it's fine. I get it. He doesn't like me that much.
It doesn't matter if it's fine or not. It's not optional. It's not like, Brandon, I really like you. We're going to do this anyway. Doesn't work that way.
That's funny. So, okay. The question I think is, Levi mentioned this in the podcast. What he said was he was kind of shocked at what the product cost to make versus what it's being sold to people. And I don't know if he was specifically talking about First Lite, but it was in the context of that conversation. Now, I think we both know this, and I think that people know this in general. The margins on clothing is ridiculous.
So I didn't listen to what you were talking about, so I'm getting whatever information you're giving me right now.
I sent you that. I know that.
And then the next day you're like, hey, we're going to do this instead. So I watched that one. I didn't watch the other one.
Valid.
So, but let's like break this down one at a time. Or when I hear you say something, I'm going to ask you to stop.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good idea.
You just said he struggled with how much it costs to make versus what they sell.
Correct.
I don't believe that answer.
Okay.
I have a hard time believing that someone that's been in this industry for 20 years has no idea how much stuff costs to make and sell. Period. I don't buy that. I'm sorry. And if I'm like way wrong, which once again, 100% speculation. How? Like he's been in this way too long. He's been sponsored by camo companies. You telling me this is the first time you opened the books to see what a product costs and what it costs to sell? Like really?
The other thing is there's all the in-between costs of marketing, distribution, like all that stuff.
They're all doing it. So that's not fair. There's no way that's accurate because these things are all priced similar to each other. So him saying that, if that's 100% authentic, period, you've been sponsored by other camo companies, right? First Lite's not just like got a ridiculous margin and other ones don't. They all do. So why? I don't get it. I don't understand that. How is that possible? I guarantee you First Lite's not making their crap way cheaper than everybody else.
Right. And they're
Like
not charging
Kuyu,
way more
Sitka,
than the other
their
high-end
price
stuff.
structures are all within the same price structures, right? So how is that an accurate answer? I don't understand how that's an accurate answer. And mind you, this is not me throwing shade. I know that guy's been around 20 years, right? I mean, is that relatively accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has. How in the world do you just find that out?
I don't know. I also don't know what weight he put on that.
And was he referring to that? He was just saying in general, wasn't he?
No, I mean,
or he was directing it at First Lite.
I think that it felt like he was directing it at First Lite. But he also says multiple times, like, and Greg did a good job of pulling a little bit more out of him, because there was a lot of like, I signed, I've got NDAs, I can't, we shouldn't, this isn't, let's not, like there was a lot of that kind of stuff. And Greg kept hounding him a little more than I was expecting him to be honest.
Okay.
So, all right. I think that there's a certain amount of weight, and I'd be curious to know the new company that he's going with, are they going to charge less? Like I believe that their margins could be the same. If they're a really high quality product, they're going to do the same thing with pricing structure. They're direct to consumer, so you won't carry them in the store.
Yeah, and D2C means you just took probably 40% average away from the cost of selling a product, or D2C is direct to consumer. So anytime you see a piece of apparel that's in a store, it's probably marked up around 30 to 50%, depending on the brand, depending on the price structure, depending on the margin, depending on the volume that shop does. That's probably how much it's marked up. And mind you, once again, they set the prices. We don't.
Right. They tell you,
here's
what
you're
going
allowed
to
to sell
retail
it
this
for.
at. Yeah.
They tell us what the retail is, and most people just abide by that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like a decision that we make.
Right.
It's a decision that's predetermined for us.
Yeah.
So that's pretty standard. So when you go direct to consumer, that's not in there.
Why is Kuyu still so much money then if they're direct to consumer?
That's a really great question. Don't you have a lot of Kuyu?
I love Kuyu.
Yeah,
I love
so
the gear,
what?
but I just say I really like it, so I'm going to spend the money to get it. But that's the curiosity.
That's a very good question.
It's
a super good question. I don't have an answer. I don't.
Would you care to speculate?
I don't. I have no idea.
That's fascinating.
Well, my heart wants to believe they're paying 30% more for their product than everybody else, for the largest or second largest camel manufacturer in the industry.
Probably not the largest, is my guess.
I think they're number 2.
Yeah,
they might
be
number
1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Now, are they actually
pretty
like?
Sure.
Are some of the like Badlands or Real Tree? Some of these lower
shouldn't gloss
ones?
over this just yet. Isn't that super interesting?
I don't want to gloss over it. What I'm trying to figure out is who's the biggest one.
Well, I may have a little bit of bias to direct to consumer companies because we can't deal with them.
I'm going to buy you a beautiful Kuyu outfit.
I will light it on fire. I will take it out back. No, in all fairness, they make pretty good stuff. I haven't ever worn it, but I have a lot of friends that do that really like the product. So it is what it is. It is an interesting reality that, well, they're direct to consumer. Why is the price the same?
Yeah.
That's fair. But like I said, I don't want to gloss over that whole part about like, oh, they're making way too much money on this. There's no way you just learned that. Unless you're insanely ignorant throughout the whole time, you knew that.
I don't know how much weight he was putting with that either.
Okay.
Like let's just say that was a 5% weighting.
I didn't hear it.
I know.
So
I know.
I would love to know, like, was there anything in there of how he got out of his contract or why he was able to get out of his contract?
He basically no, but they alluded to basically either they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing or I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And he talked a lot about basically him pulling back from social media and being like, I'm really going to focus on YouTube. I was spending way too much time on Instagram and I was, reading the comments and feeling bad and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, don't read them.
Yeah.
Which I sympathize with heavily. Just don't read them.
I
still catch myself. Well, you love playing.
I do. It just doesn't. I
just
have decided it just doesn't. It's not gonna. Whatever. But if it's messing with his mental game, like if it's screwing something up for him, or if it's he's got 4 kids. That's the other thing. Like if
tough.
it's taking away a bunch of the time there, or he feels obligated because he's got a lot of people that are fans of his, and he's like, I really want to at least go heart a bunch of these things, or like, hey, thanks for the comment. That still takes a ton of time. But he basically, bringing this back, the vibe I got was that he was basically telling First Lite, I'm not going to be making as many posts as I've obligated myself to in the contract.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Well, and may have just decided to part ways then. But is that him leaving, or is that him being let go?
Right.
Because
He didn't define it.
Wasn't
and
it?
Greg asked.
Okay, I thought it was implied that he was leaving.
Well, there was some ambiguity to that one.
Okay.
And so I wondered about that as well, because
that's an interesting way if you cleverly thinking about it, which, it's just my brain running. Like if you don't want to be with the company anymore and you have obligations to that company and you tell them you're not going to fulfill those obligations, they just let you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, we've like in our industry, that's happened a few times with different relationships with people like subcontractors. We get done with a job and we just don't call them again, because we don't want to work with them anymore. It's not exactly the same thing, but then they're calling us and they're like, hey, I thought we were rock and roll. We're doing 10 houses at once. And we're just like, yeah, no, maybe on the next one.
Yeah, sorry.
Drift off into the distance. And maybe that's what Levi did. But obviously, if you've signed up for an agreement where you said, I'm going to make 30 pieces of content for you a month, and then you don't do it. But if you're First Lite, do you make them give back money? Or I assume maybe they're paying him monthly?
Traditionally, they get checks, yeah. So they just
say,
the check.
not giving you the check.
We're not giving you the check.
Okay.
I would assuom. Once again, we are assuming.
We are. Well,
lots of
assumptions.
All speculation. All speculation.
Yeah. So he's already moved over to a new company.
Well, he's definitely not getting any more checks now.
Well, yeah. But what I don't know,
what is the new company? Do you know? Did he say?
Yeah, he did.
What's it called?
It was the guy who runs Expedition.
Yeah.
I guess has a bunch of outdoor companies. I think his name was Mike, he said.
Okay.
I gotta look. This is stupid. I should have looked this up ahead of time. People are gonna be like, it's not Expedition, it's Excursion, and whatever. So apparently it's a new apparel brand that's coming out, but he was super excited because he was like, they've got a puffy coat that's like totally silent. And Greg was trying to push him on that stuff as well. And Levi was like, I already said too much stuff. I can't say this. Like, we're going to have a launch. So I am curious about that.
Okay.
Like, what if he just had a relationship with somebody and saw a better opportunity for like, holy crap, like this apparel is going to genuinely be like level up. And I have a chance to get equity.
Okay.
Because First Lite's probably not giving him equity because of how established they are.
Yep.
So he goes, this is worth me allowing this relationship to go flaccid with First Lite.
That's great.
In order for me to then move over.
Well, so I could see it as that, and I think you probably hit the nail on the head. And that's what you see people evolve into in this space that are taking money is equity. Like if one brand's willing to give you equity and another one's not, and you feel like you're really moving the needle for a brand and you can help a brand grow, you're probably more likely to take equity.
So equity, define equity.
Equity means you own a percentage of the company.
Yeah.
Like they just give you a percentage of the company. Here you go. We'll give you 10% of our company to endorse our product rather than cutting you a check. Or they may have both. They may have a monthly stipend check plus equity. So you got to have something to live on. And then a potential growth in the long run, which is smart for most of them as long as you're aligning yourself with the company you believe in.
Yeah.
Right. Which multiples of these guys have equity. Multiples.
Yeah.
Not just Levi.
Yeah. And it does make sense when you get to a certain level where you would say, I believe in the product, but you can't pay me enough for me to push this thing for the next 10 years. Like I'm going to be too expensive. So I just need I need a percentage of ownership or a fixed percentage of profits going forward. And then, but it actually does that's a good relationship to have for both parties.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Because if he talks about, if his deliverables are 15 posts a month, but he's like, I own equity in this thing. and I love this. Every time I get a chance, I'm going to talk about it.
Sure.
So,
well, and if you ever see a big name like that, which I think we can all say Levi's a big name.
Yep.
Aligning himself with a brand that you've never heard of or is brand new or that sort of thing, you can almost guarantee they have an equity player. It wouldn't make sense, right?
Right.
Because it's easy to endorse a product that everybody knows about because you don't have to functionally show that you're really moving the needle. When it's a small company in its growth stages, then you can go to that company and say, I can really change your sales, but I want a percentage of that growth.
Yeah.
And it's a fair play, right?
Sure.
When you have a big voice. But I just really wish that that was public information. So
do you wish
knew.
it was public information so that you could kind of go like, hey, you own a portion of Ultra Arrows, so because you own a portion. That's common knowledge.
Okay, cool.
That's not a thing
didn't know
you
that.
and
I
that's
didn't
not
know
a
it
thing
was.
that you and I have talked about in private.
Yeah.
Levi has equity in Ultra.
Sure.
So
Well, I would like to think that if it's more than just a check, or if there's like an equity thing. Well, actually, I guess in reality, if they're getting a check period,
right.
do you really believe what they're saying?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Is like John Dudley goes on PSE and he's like, these are unbelievably fantastic bows. Did he ever cross the line and say this is the best bow ever made? Because then when you say this is the best bow ever made, and then you go back to Hoyt 3 months later, like that's a rough line to walk. Because now are you shooting an inferior bow, or were you lying about the previous one?
You know, that's a hard play, and if somebody was smart, they would never state that. They would never say this is the best thing I've ever seen. But there are people that do that regularly, and I'm not naming names because I don't want to get sued. But there are people that do that regularly,
and I'm not saying that John's ever said that.
No, I don't think John has.
The implication is that it's
I don't think John
big
has.
shift.
It is.
It's a big shift for an individual who I think does move the needle.
Yes, I do too.
To go from one place to the other place, and to have said this is the best thing ever, and then oh no, this is the best thing ever.
That's a harder play for sure. I mean, you got to try to explain to your people, your constituents per se, that what do you mean? Like,
Right.
how hold on a second. How are you getting at that? And I think in the reality of it, anybody has any sense about it, that's their job. Their job is to promote their product and say it's that you need to buy this product, not that product. That's what people are paying for in the brand, right? And it's just it's a difficult line to walk, which is why I won't walk that line, because I can't do that. Because I wouldn't allow myself to say I think this is better than that if I didn't believe it.
Yeah,
I won't. Like, it wouldn't matter if there was money involved. It wouldn't matter if I made more money over here than there. I've done that my whole life. I used to get in fights with my dad when he owned the shop. I wouldn't sell what he wanted me to sell because he could make more money on it. I was like, I don't care. That's a better product. And I'm selling what's better for the customer. So that customer comes back. And he comes back again, he comes back again, he comes back again. I'm not selling the thing that makes you more money. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you want to fire me, but I'm not. My word to a person is more important to me than the profit that I make.
Yeah, and I would struggle with, like, even now, if somebody sends me a thing, especially if it's like a high dollar thing, they send it to me, I automatically go, that is very kind of them. I would like to make the best review that I possibly can because they gave this to me for free. And I would like to be as accurate as I can. And at the same time, they sent me a very expensive thing for free. And so I wonder, but it may be subconscious, like that may be a subconscious thing. So I do wonder if you're getting paid monthly, especially if you need that money to pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
Are you willing to say, like, how many sins are you willing to overlook from the company? You know,
Probably
like,
a few, I'd imagine.
Seems like a few.
Probably a few, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I do wonder, was Levi's contract up after this year?
I don't know if they, with First Lite, if they would have done First Lite. We're not even drinking and I'm slurring.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they would just do an annual contract with him.
I doubt it.
Seems like it'd
I
be a
really doubt
multi-year.
it. But this could have been the year that it's up,
Right.
Because we're going into.
But that almost makes it worse because, like,
Well, now hang on. Here's a reality, and let me just throw this possible caveat out there, right? So he's going in hunting season, right? You think First Lite doesn't want current content of him killing stuff in their gear or filming in their gear for this year's cycle before his contract's up? Well, what if he wants to film with the other stuff instead?
Right.
You would have to end that contract now to be able to be filming in that gear going forward, right? So just a little strategery, if that was deliberate, it would make a lot of sense.
yeah, that does make sense.
Because you haven't really hunted anything yet. I mean, yeah, maybe you went hunting bears or something or turkeys in the spring, but the bulk of your hunting is from like August forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What month is it?
June.
July.
Oh yeah, it is July now.
It's July.
Isn't it? The second.
You got like 30 days or 45 days probably till he starts hunting a lot.
That is true.
Right? So that would logically make sense if you're trying to build content for the new company that you likely have equity in. You need to do it now.
Yeah.
So if you were trying to phase out of it, it's probably a wise decision.
All right. Comment down below if what I want to know is, like, when you're watching a piece of content from somebody that you know is being paid by the company, how much do you like let it influence you? Like, even
That's
if it's people you like, there's lots of people that I have relationships with. You have a shitload more than I do. That if they told me like, I shoot this bow, it starts with a P, and I really love it, and they gave it to me for free, I would be like, I think you're full of shit, and I don't believe you. I think that they gave you free stuff, and therefore you're going to shoot it.
Yeah, I like to think that people have some level of integrity and wouldn't just promote crap.
Not crap. That, like, I'm not talking about somebody that's gonna whatever. Like, I don't view, when we talk about the bow brands, there's no crap bow brands. Like all the bow, no, there's not. Okay, maybe there's some. There's none that you carry in the shop that are that.
Well,
I'm
sure.
talking. I'm not talking about like
Sanlita.
Yeah. I'm not talking about that stuff. That's not even the same
That's
category.
probably not even pronounced right.
But I'm saying, what I'm saying is all the mainstream bow brands. If somebody said, I picked this one, I would say you picked it because they gave you the bow and probably gave you a little bit of a check.
Fair.
And therefore,
Yeah, for sure.
Like, this
Hard
makes
to
me
believe
trust
what
you
you're
50% less. Whereas you, I know that you're selling all these things, but
Kind of makes me unique in the space.
but shop owners in general, if like you guys all have a bit of an advantage to be able to be honest to a point. Like
we benefit regardless of which one you buy if we're selling all of them, and that's the beauty of it.
Exactly.
So it's probably a good place to put your focus or attention on what they really think. I do want to preface one thing here, or be very clear about that situation. If Levi said, hey, I'm not going to do this, and you can just end my contract if you want, or said I can't make those deliverables, or I've got my reasons, right? If he chose that, I think personally, because every contract that I've ever known somebody is in, the brand can cut it whenever they want, but you can't.
Ooh,
I think that's fucked up.
Yeah, that's kind of funky.
I think if he did that play, my hat is off to him, and good on you, because they can get out of it if they want to. You should be able to too, because at the end of the day, if you're getting divorced, you're getting divorced. Right? It shouldn't matter when it is. You should be able to say, look, I just want to go a different direction. I'm sorry, this isn't working for me anymore. You should be able to have that conversation, and it shouldn't be, no, you owe us content for the next 4 months. And I understand it disrupts their cycle or it's not as good, but they can do it to you. They can go, we don't want you anymore. Fuck off.
Do you think that
they can do that?
You
so
think
why
somebody
can't
that's
you
like
do the
Levi
same thing?
has that structure in their contract?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like a company, normally the companies, and this, it is possible, right? But normally the companies have all the money and the resources and the lawyers and all that, and you just have to sign. You can show it to your lawyer, but normally they probably wouldn't let you put the verbiage in there that says that I can cut you whenever I want.
Yeah, it's like record labels and publishing deals. It's the same dynamic.
Yeah, because they're typically have more money, more power, more strength, so they're going to give you something that benefits them.
Of course.
And if it was as simple as, well, I just not going to do what they tell me to do, and we part our ways, way to go to be able to get out of it.
Okay.
Because in general, you can't get out of those things.
Yeah.
So if he just stops, well, we're not going to pay you. Okay, well, then we just sever our relationship and I'll move on.
Yeah, I think the risk that you run about doing that is you risk a lawsuit. Like you risk them coming forward and basically saying, hey, we attribute, $500,000 a year in sales to you. And so because you're leaving halfway, you're breaching contract.
Yeah, and how well is that going to go in the public eye? Hey, we're going to sue you because you don't want to work with us anymore. Oh, I guarantee the backlash from that would not supersede any other dollar amount that they're going to try to recoup because you're not spending time endorsing X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, that's actually really valid. I didn't think about that next level.
The public could probably massacre you for that. So, like I said, it's a very smart play if that's what he did.
Okay.
And like I said, I completely agree with it. If you did that, which obviously I don't know, and there's no way I'd know.
Yeah.
We don't have a personal relationship, so it's not like I can call him and ask him. But if you did that, my hat's off to you.
Okay.
Good work.
Interesting.
Because those things are always balanced to the brand, and I think that's wrong. I think you should. I really think if you both just don't want to do it, or if one of you doesn't want to do it anymore, then one of you doesn't want to do it, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting take. You are right, though. I think that the public would massacre somebody if they went after a creator, especially like Levi. If he's struggling, like if he's like I'm struggling with life balance right now, or he talked about his mental health.
We have no idea if he's got personal problems at home. He's like, I just can't go do it.
Right.
If he's like got issues with his kids or whatnot, he's like, I need to stop. It could be as simple as that. But it's hard to believe that it's as simple as that when you've already got another brand lined up. You probably have equity in it, and you're ready to start rolling with it. It's like, I want to believe that it's that.
That's very valid.
I want to believe that it's that, as opposed to I just don't want to do anything with you guys anymore, and I want to go somewhere else. You should be able to, unless there's like some big upfront lump sum that's paid, and then a small, monthly thing. Well, okay, well then give us back X% of what we paid you up front.
Right, of course.
That kind of thing.
Yeah,
but,
that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but we'll probably never know.
We may know.
We may know.
Greg may pull that shit out of him. He did a good job. I was pretty impressed with the interview and his.
I'm not taking no for an answer,
well,
Levi.
his like dog and his friend, because they're like they're like friends, and he's just kind of like not really letting him off the hook.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Come on, buddy. Give me some dirt.
Well, you always run the risk of like, did you push so hard you ruin that relationship a bit? Like, did you push so hard that when he texts next time, you're like, I know what this is about to be.
Yeah, and if you interviewed him and put him in a situation he didn't want to be in, is he going to go to an interview again?
Yeah.
That's also the scary balance, right?
Well, and that's the risk that I think we run of having people in here, especially like, I like to try to instigate stuff because I think it's interesting.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
you bastard.
I need to get better at it though. But I need to learn how to instigate and figure out where the line is. Now, obviously, we'll cut out whatever.
Yeah.
If
we go too far and someone's like, I don't want to have that on there. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take it out.
Yeah.
Just chop it out and go, this is the part where it was really great, but we can't talk about it. Little face pops in, says that, and then out. Here you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, it looks like the conversation stalled all of a sudden and then moved on. There you go.
That was what it was. It was real spicy for 5 minutes, and we cut the spice out. I mean, we had to do that with Rob.
Yeah.
Rob, there was a 5 minute
there was a
portion
part
that
in there. He's like, we probably ought to not have that in there.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, cool.
Respectfully cut it out.
Yeah.
But then, like talking to Scotty yesterday, I was trying to push him a little bit to a couple of different things.
Yeah.
That he does not care. Like,
he does not.
He immediately rolls into like, I don't fucking like that guy. He's like a pretty powerful rep in the industry. And he's like,
which I love. I love that.
It's risky.
I mean, it is, and I have to commend him for being willing, because I do that, but I've been quite a bit longer than he has overall, and have long financial relationships that I can usually get away with it, and now I really can get away with it for the most part.
Yeah,
but there are brands that will just say, we don't like you, so we're done, no matter what the dollar, and that's the scary part, is you might go too far one day.
Have you had that happen to you?
I've been warned before.
Okay,
it was like, just so you know, like, you might think that that you've done this much volume, so they're gonna cave. They will lose the money gladly.
Interesting.
If you piss them off too much.
Okay, so like you feel like if you shit talk a brand too much,
I wouldn't say there's a line, right?
Yeah,
and it's at a certain point, which obviously I like to think I skirt that line pretty well between positive and negative, and pointing out things that should be different that I don't like.
Yeah.
I like to think I do that pretty good for the most part. Some would probably disagree that I don't do it enough on certain things and too much on others or whatever. There's always that down there, right? There's always fans.
Yep.
There's always fans of one and enemies of another, and they want a certain thing, right? Of course. But there is a reality that they might just go, we don't want to deal with you. But what they wouldn't know is I'd go out and pay retail for it if they did it.
And go pay retail
and
just keep selling.
Yeah, it's like, you can't stop me from buying it. Like,
from reviewing it.
Yeah.
Oh no. Because
most of that, that's where it comes from. Like, because outside of that, I tend to not like badger or beat up anything. Like, my negative stuff comes from a product review because I'm being critical of the product, because I spent my entire life dealing with product.
Right. Of course, that makes sense. But that's because
that's
the public facing version
where my expertise lies.
Yeah.
This other speculation thing that we're talking about is not my expertise at all. I know the industry relatively well, and I've dealt with enough people who've gotten checks that I have an idea how it works.
Yeah.
Pretty good idea.
We did do a lot of speculating in this episode.
If you want less speculation and more accuracy, you bring in someone that actually is getting paid overall and ask them, hey, how does this work? What happens here? How would you get out of this? What would you do? I imagine it probably looks a lot like that.
Okay.
If I had to guess.
Maybe we can have somebody on who's getting paid by somebody in the industry.
Yeah, maybe. There's a few around. We can get a couple people in here. But they would probably be hesitant to talk about the contracts, would be my guess.
Yeah, probably not in too much detail anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be curious to, so obviously, do you think that in Seattle, not Seattle, in Spokane, a lot, like Dan, a lot of people that are kind of there that are influencers. I feel like there's not really a ton in where we are here. Do you know a bunch of like Nashville-based hunting influencers?
No, it's a weird thing to think about. What happened in Spokane is bizarre in comparison, because there's not, to my knowledge, another like city that has like 3 or 4 people that have relatively good sized channels that you would consider an influencer to a degree. You don't see that a lot in other places, and it's just because we've all kind of coexisted with each other.
I guess that's true. Like you guys are kind of like grew the channels together. Maybe
that's, actually, I got a great one for you. Like, look at the Meat Eater crew. That's multiple people. They're all influencers, right? Look at the Phelps guys, right? There's 3, 4, 5 people that are relatively influencers.
I guess Hush and like
Hush, they're all Hunting Public. They're all
Hunting
individual
Public.
people that have big followings between them. Seek One, same thing.
Seek One.
But they're all. I'm now all pointing out people that are hunting groups, right? Where what we've done in Spokane is a little different.
Yeah.
You know, we're all kind of looking at product for one reason. And it's interesting that's kind of what everything in that area shifted to, was looking at product. It's almost like somebody looked at all the numbers of what was doing well and just decided to do that.
Hey, I like the gear reviews. Honestly, hunting stuff is difficult to do because it's hard to get the volume for it. Like if you're going to actually want to build, like,
but you can't do it all year.
Pedro, well, okay, so like Pedro Ampuero, that dude.
Though some hunting you can do all
But
year.
that's what I'm saying. He, because of the lifestyle that he has. But I think he was doing that before anyway.
Right.
Like, dude just travels around seemingly all the time with multiple camera guys hunting in the most unbelievable areas. But that would be a hard channel to maintain.
Oh, sure.
Like, that'd be a hard lifestyle to maintain.
Sure.
Like, that's the thing that you got to be like wired for. So I don't know. I've always liked the gear stuff anyway. Like I like picking stuff apart. I think it's an interesting. I think it's interesting because it's relatable to a lot of people. There's not a lot of people that can relate to an ibex hunt in the middle of Mongolia.
Correct.
You know, like that's a badass video.
This is cool to watch.
It's so cool to watch.
I can't relate to it at
but
all.
I'm really curious about why they think. Actually, this is a good pivot right here. So they're curious why the hunting public in Ranch Ferry shoots a pig that they have killed, and they're using multiple different broadheads. This video dropped this morning. I watched it.
Ooh.
So on their channel, they use a very lightweight arrow, and they do the super slow mo shot, and it hits the pig. They're shooting it. I think they were shooting a hard place on the pig, right in the eye. Actually, that was where it was.
Okay.
So the arrow, as it's going, the light spined arrow.
Was it lightweight or light spine?
I presume it was lightweight and light spined because it was like sub 350. So it had to have been.
Of course, dude, a heavy one that was the wrong spine would do that too.
So I'm curious about the energy loss. And the reason that I kind of bring this up is you and I we had the heavy arrow, light arrow conversation the other day on the pod. That should be out now on all of the different podcast spaces. Like and subscribe if you're still here, by the way. This is a long one.
It is.
The point of what I wanted to, you know what, we don't have to go back into that. I just thought it was interesting to watch the loss of energy. And going back to the idea of like testing gear and the tech stuff, I think that's also an interesting video to watch from the standpoint of why is that not penetrating? And you see this arrow going versus the rest of them where the spine of the arrow seems stiffer, so the arrow doesn't lose as much energy doing this.
You literally, if that's accurate, you just answered the question.
Yeah. So
if you shoot a weak spined arrow, it can't transfer the energy into something when it hits something hard.
So that's why I like the gear testing side of things. That's why I brought that up, is because that is a thing that I can control. Like I like the idea of, oh, cool. Like now I understand this thing that is a fundamental physics aspect of this. That's why I mess with the gear a lot.
Well, I think everybody does. It's also something the guy can do.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not that complicated. I'll have to go back and watch that video because if it's a light spine arrow and you're not really emphasizing that's why if you're selling weight, it's just dishonest. Now
So-
I'm hopeful that it's an equivalent spine configuration and it's moving just because it's light.
I don't know.
You're probably not going to see an accurate result there.
So we
I'd
can look,
assume.
and I don't know if they actually call it out. They call it the arrow weight, but I don't think you get and I don't even know if they call it the brand of the actual arrow. We'll have to look. I'll pull it up after this.
Okay.
And we'll watch it because it's interesting. So they use a beast broadhead,
Okay.
and they shoot a beast through there.
Bet Josh loved that.
Well, they were all pretty. They were all
impressed?
pretty surprised because that
Oh.
bastard goes straight through and then sinks itself into the Reinhardt on the back end.
Imagine that.
Now it broke off one of the blades, but
Sure.
it would have passed all the way through the animal.
Yeah.
and I think that
Still probably had more cutting diameter than the fixed blade broadhead they were using with a
yeah,
broken
I mean,
blade.
it was just kind of a funny it was a funny moment where everybody was kind of like, ah, shit.
Oh, look at that. But Marty's like, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, we'll watch it after this.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I look forward to that.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got anything else you want to say?
I love being actually functionally wrong. So if they and I've had multiple conversations with Ranch Fairy, and if I can find something that proves that he's right, I'd say it in a heartbeat. I just haven't tested it enough yet to be able to functionally prove what it is, because I've never seen it not be spine. It's always, did you have a stiff enough arrow for what you're doing? Not a heavy enough arrow, but a stiff enough arrow.
Okay.
And that's a big deal, because if you think about it, if one object is stiffer than the other but weighs less, it has the same amount of flex, or like if you have a 300 spine 11-inch and a 300 spine 9-inch, they flex the same amount with a given amount of weight on it.
Wait.
100%. Like if you have a 300 spine 11 grain an inch arrow.
We just ran out over here.
Well,
but that's fine. That's just on me.
Go
ahead.
Well, we can do it.
We're fine.
All right. So if you have an 11 grain an inch arrow and a 9 grain an inch arrow, and they're both 300 spine, they're both 28 inches.
Oh, okay,
they're both,
okay. I thought
and you
you
put
were
a given
talking
amount
about-
of weight in the middle of it, they're
Yes.
going to move the same amount.
Yeah, I thought you were talking
Right?
about an
If that's
11-inch
true-
arrow versus a 9-inch, and I was like,
No,
whoa,
no, different.
Okay, yeah.
But if that's true, when it hits something hard, the spine should be contributing to what's making it move, not its weight.
Yes.
And so if it's moving way more, I would likely think that it's not the same weight in the front, not the same broadhead in the front, or not the same stiffness in the back.
So
Because everything else being equal, spine is what matters, not weight.
So I know this from a conversation with somebody who has spent a lot of time with Ed Ashby.
Mhm.
That was something he speculated on, but had never done an accurate job of testing.
Well, I don't think they made what he needed back then, and that's the reality of it. They didn't
Correct.
used to make those things. They didn't used to
Correct.
make a 9 grain an inch, 250 spine arrow. Like it didn't
Correct.
exist. So you ended up whenever you went to a stiff enough projectile, it weighed a lot.
Yes.
And I think that's the results that you saw throughout, which is why I've kept saying it's the broadhead, it's not the arrow, as long as you have the same spine. And I fully believe it. I just haven't been able to put it together enough to show it to you throughout the others. But it's something I'm working on and will happen eventually in my spare time.
I think that we should do some of the same testing, like go down to Texas, line up a bunch of pigs, and they shot one with a 243 and then put it on the table and shoot same arrow weight, different spines. Because Victory or some of the, the GPIs are so similar.
Some of them, yeah. Some of them you can go, like in a RIP TKO, you can go from a 350 to a 300 to a 250. They almost all weigh exactly the same.
Exactly. So it would be interesting with the slow-mo cam to see the spine deflection and then test the penetration. I know that you can't do like a huge, crazy long test, but like 10 arrows of each one would be really interesting and probably pretty damn telling.
Could do a crazy long test if you had something you could test into in one spot.
I know.
Instead of what they're trying to preach. And I understand why they preach it, because they're not wrong. Like at the end of the day, everything in a lab is lab and means nothing until you can prove it on an animal. But trying to duplicate on an animal is damn near impossible, because it's not the same everywhere you shoot it.
And how much did the animal move? I think that that's
There's a
still
lot.
one of the biggest freaking factors that are not considered is animal movement. Because again, what we're talking about is that spine of that arrow becoming more dynamic as the animal is moving.
100%.
Yeah. Well, that's a fun little tidbit to end the pod with. Like and subscribe if you're still here. Thanks for watching. You can follow Josh at Podium Archer on Instagram, Podium Archer on YouTube. You can follow me at Brandon McDonald _archery on Instagram. And then what is the thing that you say about the Spotify and all that stuff?
Leave a review, please. That's the only way you can really functionally see how popular something is in the public's eye, is the reviews, because you can't see how many downloads something has or anything like that. You can really only see the review portion. So please review. Unless you don't like it, then don't leave a review.
Yeah, don't leave a review if you don't like it. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Lots of speculation, 100% speculation. Don't sue me. If I said something wrong, Levi, I'm sorry. And Mike Leibke and need a dick.
That's the intro of the video right there.